Welcome to Profiles in Eccentricity, a show about weirdos. With your hosts, John Fahey, Aaron Peter, and Matt Brousseau.
Hello, folks. Welcome to Profiles in Eccentricity. It's a show about weirdos, doggone it. My name is John Fahey, your host. John Boy Time, I'm afraid. Joining me as ever, prettiest boy under the sun. You're a relapsed hypervert. You're sick. You're a mess.
That's right. I relapsed on the prolapse, dude. I'm sorry.
Yes, you did.
Pro relapse.
I can't help it.
Yeah, you relapsed on the prolapse. Very, very good. Mr. Aaron Joseph Pita.
That's me, man. I'm fucking guilty as charged. And, you know, you can call me whatever you want, John. Just don't call me collect, because I ain't accepting the charges.
Call me freak. Call me pervert.
What's up, Matt?
What?
What's up?
Mr. Handsome Matt Brousseau, how are you?
I'm just confused, I guess.
Yeah,
We're all
I was
confused,
good.
man.
I mean, I was
Confusing time.
okay.
These are
but-
confusing times.
These are,
I mean, I have no reason not to let you have that, Aaron. I'm just confused by it.
you better let me have it. I'll take it.
Oh, I'll give it if you'll take it.
We having bizarre day today. Lost
Yeah.
a comedian friend.
Richard Bain.
Yeah.
Woke up to some really shitty news today.
Yeah. Richard Bain was, I think, one of the first things you and I were talking about a lot when we started hanging out.
Yeah.
Because
we thought he was hilarious.
yeah, we both thought he was really funny, and I think one of the times I told you a joke I saw him do.
Yeah. I was going to ask if you would tell it.
And then, so I saw Richard Bain in the Yoo-Hoo room at Flappers. I think he headlined or something, but he did this joke where he is like, Richard was such a good actor on stage, because there's people that, are funny, but if you can act it out, that's also why I always like to state most as my favorite sketch show, because I was like, they are fucking acting their balls off. Like, there's nobody breaking character, and he could keep a straight face throughout some really crazy shit on stage. So it was like really powerfully good writing and just great, totally committed acting backing it up. And so he's on stage and he's like, my girlfriend broke up with me. He's like, she'll fucking see, man. She's going to see one day. She's going to see me on that TV, you know? And she's going to see me on there, and she's going to say, oh, my God, I can't believe Richard shot all those people. I used to swallow his cum. I'm his fat cock.
Dude,
Which is just like a
left turn, right turn,
yeah, it was
U-turn.
just like a bam, bam. Like, I was like, oh my God, I was like pretty new in comedy when I saw him, and I was just like, I think I told him way later. I was like,
we got him to start doing the joke again.
yeah.
He started going up more often.
Because we were working with him, and you told him before you told him that you ran into me.
It was before I'd ever really seen him do comedy.
Oh yeah.
I started seeing him do comedy after, and he was, he never didn't miss a beat. Like, incredible.
Yeah.
But I pleaded for him to do that again, and when I saw him do it, he did it, and it broke me.
I was just.
It broke me.
I was really in pieces when I saw and another time at an old workout room, like 3 houses before it ended up at the last house.
Yeah.
I was way in the back of the room and I saw him doing this joke. And maybe I had already seen him in YouTube or the Yoo-Hoo room at that time. But I saw him doing this thing where he's like talking about the Seattle fish market closing. And he's like, it's sad, because I think about like that not being there, and somebody in the future is just like playing future ball, and they're going, like throwing future ball back and forth, and while they're playing future ball, he's going, oh man, I had sex with this fucking skank last night. It's disgusting, dude. Her fucking pussy was so nasty. He goes, it smelled like. I don't know what it smelled like. It was just so dumb and like extreme and insane and and weird. You know, it's just so it's really sad because one time I told him I was like, when I first saw you, I was like, I don't even want to do any comedy anymore. I just want to be like your agent because people need to know about these jokes.
Yeah.
It's so fucking good.
He had shit he would just write on a napkin, do once and throw away. He had this thing about Tinder that I thought was so funny.
Yeah, and when people are like talking about it today and stuff, they're talking about like him doing the pratfalls and stuff like that. And,
which are funny.
Very funny because he was a great actor. And he also would get up in this way where it was like, oh my God, I'm so embarrassed.
Yeah.
So you were
and he always had a flop sweat. So, like, he really sold it down to his biology. But
he was just so backing up everything with something really good. So it was like, people would be like, oh, this one show he did nothing but gibberish and it was so funny. And one time he was, doing, just like kick flips and like stuff like, but like the joke writing was so strong. And he was just really good at all of it.
He did the Heath Barcelona video that everybody in this room was in.
Yeah.
And he did that he was a TS disciple. He was somebody who took the Heath Barcelona pickup artist course. And, I did not give him anything. I said, you're a part of this course. I just want you to, give a testimonial.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah. But he always said about that sketch from the beginning, he was like, I get it.
And he does.
Yeah.
He fucking brought, and I gave him money to go, I was like, here, get some shit out of the vending machine.
Because he was like, yeah, I should be eating shit like a slob.
Yeah. So he got like Twinkies and a fucking Mountain Dew. And he just fucking, I had to tell people to shut up because he just brought the whole fucking place down. He was just supremely, supremely talented.
Yeah.
And
I do want to say one last thing, which was a thing that would really fuck me and Aaron up really bad when we worked with him, which was a real story that he would tell. And he was like, like we grew up in North Carolina. And he was like, one time I wrote like on the desk, I just wrote, "Wiggers must die."
Oh my god! Oh my god!
And he goes,
oh my god!
He goes, I was
I'm gonna cry right now.
at another desk later. And he goes, I see a wigger sit down at the desk, read it, and he goes, "Wiggers must die." like almost. Wiggers must die. Wiggers must die.
Like he read it and believed it. Like it was news.
Oh, like it was like a hate crime was coming. A hate crime was coming his way.
Dude, I think I'm gonna get that tattooed on my arm. I'm gonna get "Wiggers must die" tattooed as if it was carved in with a compass point. Because that's all. It was always geometry class. People carved into their desks because they had a compass. Wiggers must die.
Dude, it was so fucking funny.
Oh my god.
And his acting, like and
this was just in a room.
A room, yeah.
We were just working in a
just talk. Wiggers must die.
Oh my god. You just fucked me up, dude. Fuck, my heart's racing.
I was so excited to bring that back up to you.
I totally forgot about it until this moment, and like it's killing me. Fuck.
Yeah, he is
He was a special guy, man.
So funny, and spent a lot of hours in rooms with him.
Yeah, I mean, we only knew Richard for maybe 4 years, 5 years at most, but it was the equivalent of a decade with how much time we spent in very close
quarters,
proximity and uninterrupted time. And we love you, buddy.
Yeah, rest in peace, Richard Bain. I got something here that I want to share with you guys, which you might know a lot about, but it was new to me.
Wiggers and their impending genocide?
Yeah. Well, it is.
Wiggers must die.
I think I was looking into the revenge classics, which I'm into, and
what do you mean by revenge classics?
There's just like some stories about like long-term like plotted revenge, and
always interesting. Yes.
The one I think actually most of these were new to me, and I'll spread out in the future in future shows. But I mean, it's just so maniacally, fucking neurotic and
Calculated.
insane that I think it lends itself to the eccentric side of the show. And so I wanted to talk about the 47 Ronin. And are you familiar with that at all, man?
No. It sounds familiar, but...
No, Ronin is a samurai with no master.
That's exactly right, Aaron. And this is...
What's the samurai?
Samurai is...
Has a master.
Okay.
Well, a samurai is...
Also a horrible car by Suzuki in the 80s.
Which?
The Suzuki Samurai.
Oh!
Flipped over all the time and shit. It was dog shit.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh. And if you gave it away, it was a Ronin.
Yeah.
It was stolen.
Well, with all that
I
flipping.
got a stolen Ronin on the streets out there. So the samurai was also kind of like a, I always thought it was just the warrior. It was really more of a military class.
Right.
And
You follow Bushido.
yes, and you would just describe Bushido?
Bushido is the way. Bushido is the it's the Japanese version of chivalry. Right? Chivalry is the knight's code of honor and ethics and the way they behave.
Yes.
And Bushido is the way of the samurai. Which
Yeah.
is the Eastern equivalent of
And
the
these
knight.
people would be trained, but it's not as if everybody was just like this assassin. Like you were kind of like, it was a class,
Yes.
it was a very kind of like military officer type thing.
Yeah.
And so in the Edo period, which is Edo is the name of Tokyo previously.
Yes.
And at the time, and this is happening in early 1700s, the capital was still Kyoto.
And I believe this was also the time in which, I don't think this has ever happened before, Japan, especially during the Edo period, is the only time a nation state had guns and then got rid of them. And then eventually they picked them up again. But this was a period of time in which Japan had previously had firearm weaponry.
Yeah.
And then they got rid of it because they were classless, clumsy weapons, as is
Well, it was
parroted in Star Wars.
It was a time following a lot of civil war, and so
So they went back to the blade, is what I'm getting.
yeah, I heard it called Edo, but I don't know if it's Edo.
I think it's Edo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so during that time, the civil war, was it had a feudal system. The daimyo was like the 300 lords that kind of had their patches of land, and the daimyo would have a bunch of samurais that they employed, their lands, and it's very much Game of Thrones. This is your lord, and etc. And it all reports back to the shogun, because the emperor was more of a royal figurehead, and the shogun was like the military dictator. So after this period of civil war strife and people just like fighting over stuff, this one shogun really took over and was just like, we are going to have a period of isolation, and that was part of like no guns,
Right.
returning to traditional things, and very class based, no more wars, like that's done. So there was actually like a period of basically like 250 years, I think, of peace in Japan, and it was because of this really strict stuff that this one shogun brought in, and so. With all of that background, in 1701, there was a thing going on where the daimyo, it was basically like to keep them from getting too fat in the pocket and kind of like starting to lead back to that way of like, starting wars over, you would kind of keep inviting them to ceremonies at the Capitol because it would cost them. And it would kind of also, drain their money a little bit and not make them too fat and happy. And, it was
Give them an opportunity to
right.
rustle up trouble.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. And so there was, in Edo, there was a couple of imperial envoys were going to show up from Kyoto, and they were two of the daimyo, two of the lords were summoned, and one was Asano and one was Kahei, and they had this because they're more country lads, they don't really know all of the royal etiquette, and etiquette is of course extremely important. It's so ceremonial, and everything is just, you gotta be really, really on point. And so the shogun has this master of ceremonies where this is basically like his deal, is to be like, okay, I'm going to show you two assholes from the country how to deal with these, kinds of people. And, we're going to receive them, and you're going to know your P's and Q's because I'm going to show them to you. And so he's doing this for days in preparation. And, the culture at the time was to bring that guy gifts, right? And, later, people would characterize it later as bribes. But, like, you're not getting the cheat codes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, there's no, like, it's just like, it's a gift-giving culture.
Yes.
To
this day.
Yeah. And he apparently was not too thrilled with the gifts, but he just took a disliking to Kihei and Asano. And that man's name was Kira.
Okay.
And so Kira is, none too thrilled. And he's, showing them how to do things, and he's, laying into them. But also,
here's how you wipe your ass, you country bumpkin.
Yeah.
You take the chopstick.
He's just like, really kind of abusing them a lot. And, really laying into them. But also, he's organizing shit like this all day. He kind of comes from a higher Japanese pedigree. And, this is all happening in the Shogun's palace. And his kind of attitude is like, I basically make less money than you guys do as lords. And, you're kind of like, you're bringing me these shitty gifts, and like, they're kind of looking at him being like, well, you're some fucking rich asshole from the royal world. And, you're making us kind of bribe you. Like,
right.
And so there's just kind of like the, why don't I have what you don't, you know what I'm saying? That type of shit, just like stupid jealousy and stuff like that.
So they have to bribe him to learn the etiquette?
Well, it's not really a bribe. Like I said, he's going to
It's a show of respect. And so, like, if you bring a shitty gift, you can take it as kind of an affront to your position.
But it's like you're showing up to practice, and you gotta bring the coach a bag of chips.
Listen, man, this is.
But I'm just trying to make sense.
But no, you're right. But the thing is, he's going to train you no matter what. Because if he fails at that...
It was a show of thanks, then, in essence.
Yeah, it's kind of like... It's just a respect thing,
Yeah. I mean, you ever got a gift that you're like, I appreciate the thought, but what the fuck am I going to do with this thing
It's better
now?
that you didn't bring one.
Yeah.
And I think it's also a kind of thing, too, where maybe from his perspective, they weren't really respecting the code. Mm-hmm. And he was like a 60-year-old man,
Where are we going to put a whale penis?
He's like kind of going like...
I'll tell you where, pal.
In the Atlantic Ocean. But he's like, looking at them like, are you really trying to learn this stuff? Like, it's just like a lot of shit going on. And so Kihei is like, he's getting really fucking heated. And Asano is seemingly just like chilling. He's just like, yo, it's all good. And so Kihei's like underlings, they see what's happening, and they see that Kihei is like gonna make a move. Like, he's gonna fuck this guy up because like he's being disrespected. And so then they boost boost some kind of like nicer bribe and deliver it to him without Kihei even knowing.
Okay.
And so suddenly Kira is cool to Kihei, and he's now just doubling down all the abuse on Asano. And so Asano, like, the Imperial envoys are arriving. And
this is what they've practiced for.
He calls him in the vast litany of abuse. He says the last thing, and suddenly you realize Asano's been pissed this whole time because the other guy's the one that was acting mad, and he calls him a country boor with no manners.
Right to the heart.
Oh boy.
And so then he just says it, turns around, and then Asano's going like. He says something like charging at him, taking out his blade too, which is like a short sword. And that you cannot do in the Shogun's palace whatsoever.
No. Even I know that.
Yeah, that's what the metal detectors...
I mean, the big samurai sword, that's not even coming in. But for some reason, they still give him these little fucking things. And so he has that, and he goes at him.
There's a lot of uses for a small knife, you know?
Yeah, you could chop.
But this is, I mean, I'm talking about like something that's like.
No, I know. It's not small.
It's like your forearm.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah.
It's like in those pornos you watch where the girl puts the dick right on her forearm. She's like, it's this big. And her face is next to it. So it's like that, but a sword.
Okay, great. You have to use words like a.
Yeah.
I gotta speak his language, John. I'm sorry. He's a fucking freak.
He's a country boy with no manners.
That's right.
Yeah, it's great.
Now imagine a sword that's as long as the penis is the
What?
fucking...
The whale dick of swords?
That's right.
So he goes, comes at him and he's like, all this shit you've been saying to me the last few days, like says some shit as he's running
I
at
got your
him.
boy right here.
And he comes down with his sword, and like he doesn't even try to like kind of like stab him with it, and it cuts him on the face, like on the head, and then he's going again, and a bunch of people just like jump in and pull him off.
He misses his chance.
And now, meanwhile, the envoys from the emperor are just like being brought around to a different part of the palace.
Right this way.
Yes. Well, it seems that room's off limits right now because there's mayhem
Pay no
going
attention
on.
to the racket and the smell of human
They
blood.
never even find out. And
It's the daily stab training.
they basically like kind of have him like detained, and then they're like, what the fuck were you thinking? And he's like, I'm just sorry I didn't kill him. And that same day, he's ordered to commit seppuku. So
With that same sword, I mean.
with the exact same sword.
Yeah.
That's exactly right.
Seppuku and harikari, very both similar.
They're the same thing,
Are
I believe.
I don't know.
I think there's a different. I mean, listen, this is a culture.
We talked about this in the Mishima episode.
Yuki Mishima, yeah.
And I believe they're
Okay, well, we'll have somebody fact check that.
But usually it's the smaller sword is the one used for it.
Yeah, and he does it
Because you can't reach far out with a katana.
Yeah,
How are you going to stab yourself with a 6-foot-long katana?
Yeah.
I wonder if it's a practical thing that became a traditional thing.
Yeah.
Just because it's
Yeah.
practical.
Well, I might need to kill myself. So
Well, this spoon's not going to do it. This is Robin Hood.
You ever try killing yourself with a katana? Good luck. Kill me.
But you have to like tape. You have to put it on something and then slowly.
That's right. That's right.
It's not very.
You got to put it on your Sibian rack, and then it just stabs
And then
you
it's- yeah,
repeatedly.
it's just-
So now,
It's also
and
shaking.
Aaron, or Matt, you want to describe what seppuku is?
Sure.
Go for
It's a ritual suicide and disemboweling
Yourself.
You get down onto your knees and maybe there's a prayer. I don't remember, but you take this short little sword and you stab yourself in the stomach
and
with
go
it.
left and right, and you chop it all
Yeah,
up.
you make sure you're fully
And now-
dead,
and
and then
it's an honor suicide, basically.
and then
Yes.
the guy seeing it throws up, and that's not part of the tradition. But that's
there's also part of it too where the guy can cut off your head so you don't.
yeah.
you don't-
So what happens right after that is someone is supposed to be there with you, I believe, and they cut your head off.
So it's you showing your bravery,
Like
basically.
in the Mishima thing, the guys that were supposed to cut his head off
failed.
They threw up
Yeah.
because they were so freaked out by it.
Oh my god!
Holy shit, he's really doing
This is what it is? I thought it was sexual.
I thought he was a hot gay guy. Yeah. So he does that, and yeah, it's just fucking immediate, man.
It's a mess, and it probably sounds like an awful way.
No, the thing is, are you getting that definition or what?
Yeah, it's
he's
the
got a
same.
hot
It's
text.
pretty much the same thing.
Harikari and seppuku.
Yeah. Yes. Yes, essentially the same thing.
Yeah.
It's a regional dialect.
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
Harikari is a Japanese.
I always wondered though. I always thought it was different somehow.
For us white people, it's the
Same thing. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. One's for guys with mustaches.
It's the difference between bukkake and gokun.
So immediately afterward, the thing that happens here too now is that's your daimyo, right? So now there's 300 samurai. His family's fucked. They're disgraced. So for losing your temper, for this guy that is, doing a job. I mean, Asano fucked up really bad.
Yeah.
He fucked over his family. His brother's arrested. Because you do have all this, all these loyal people. His lands are taken. All these guys become Ronin overnight.
Everybody under him.
Everybody under Asano is now Ronin, and they go there and they show up and they're basically like, yo, your fucking guy fucked up really bad. Like, give over your lands right now. So his second is a guy named Oishi, and he's like, okay, just, give up the castle or whatever and get the fuck out of here. And the 300, now unemployed samurai, they're like, a lot of them are fucking pissed. They're like, yeah, this was mad irresponsible. And,
Well, in one moment, everything all of these guys had ever done is now out the window, basically.
Not only that, but it's, in this hugely honor-based thing, it's your family now, right?
Yeah.
So you got to think, like, I'm Ronin. Now I've lost my class.
Yeah.
So you're like, fuck, man.
You have to imagine part of the reason the tradition/policy is in place is to have people be motivated to not do that.
That's exactly why it is, especially in this time period.
Yeah.
Because
we got a nice, quiet little beach community.
that's exactly right. It's exactly right.
It's the was it HOA housing? It's a housing law. No flamingos.
I don't like your jerk off. Seppukus.
So
I don't like your topiary.
They say his family's ruined. I don't even know what that means.
They're ruined.
Yeah.
That just means there's no promotions. They when they go to market, they don't get the deals. People don't make eye contact.
Yeah, they don't get the sweet deals.
His daughter's no longer considered viable.
You got to think, like, and the samurai too, like I said, like these are not all badass assassin warriors, but it's still a lot of people that now, some of them become monks. Some of them like become tradesmen. Like some of them are doing crafts.
Yeah, they got to become a fucking blacksmith.
You got to get a job, homie.
Yeah, they just lost a class.
Yeah,
they just fell out of whatever class they were in, and now
so
they're
part of the thing that happened here was when there were other incidents like this, the person that was maybe considered to instigate the fight, i.e., Kira, would also be punished. He was not.
Huh.
And so that kind of left a lingering stink.
Rules for thee.
Rules
for me.
Right, exactly. So that, and there's all kinds of other outside factors going on too, but Oishi basically grounds up 47 of these Ronin, and he basically says, like, we're expected to, avenge our master, and they're expecting it.
47 of the 300?
47 of the 300. Because,
Well,
I mean, the 250, a lot of the 250 are like, yeah, fuck Asano, we're done.
Yeah.
You
Fuck
know?
up.
I've always wanted to be a sailor.
And so, yeah.
I've always wanted to dance. Finally.
So, they're like...
I'm a geisha now.
Yeah. So they're like, they kind of basically hatch this secret plot, and they're like, they're going to be watching us super, super hardcore. And they do. They keep spies on all these guys for a long time.
No shit.
Like, Aaron, I'm talking about, like, well over a year.
Jesus. They just got people hanging out in their little
And
minion
people
area?
are just going and getting jobs, and Kira just he beefs up all his security at his little palatial estate. And
A lot of new hairdressers in town this week.
Wow, a lot of new faces.
yeah, well, this guy's
And I can tell them apart because I'm Japanese.
some of these motherfuckers like crocheting and shit, like one motherfucker's like, I can do this.
That candle maker sure lifts weights.
And
Candles are heavy.
there's so Oishi, especially because he's the second in command, he's got hard looks at him, and he's kind of expected to be the one to freak out if any of them will, and then also if he does, it's expected he'll be followed. So he's got hard eyes upon him, and he just starts acting like just a debauched lunatic.
Acting or is?
Well, he is.
Okay. But that is an important distinction.
It's not him throwing off the scent.
Yeah.
It is him being a debauched lunatic.
Well, but which throws off the scent.
It has the convenient side effect of throwing off the scent.
Yeah.
It's not a ploy. It is him being one.
Well,
don't know.
I mean, we'll get into some of that at the end. But when people talk about the motivations, they go like, "Well, was he just being a debauched maniac?" And it's like, I just don't see any reason to for it to not be fake based on what happens later.
Other than the pleasures of being a debauched maniac, could
Well-
you describe how do you know the debauchery?
Yeah,
the
he
extent of it?
starts going to bars a lot. He starts whoring around.
Oh, like brothels.
Yeah, he's going to like kabuki shows.
Oh!
And now samurai wouldn't do that. That's supposed to be beneath them. That's supposed to be
course.
like low art and
It is.
And the best.
Yeah.
And he's doing all this shit in Kyoto, and he's just, it's worse and worse and worse. And some of the people that are still under him, like they try getting him a geisha to they buy him a geisha to calm him down. And he's still just wild, man, in the streets, just being a fucking psycho. And one time he just goes absolutely batshit on the streets of Tokyo, and he passes out in the street drunk.
Oh no.
And a samurai from Satsuma sees him, recognizes him, and is so disgusted that he spits on him
Oh.
and kicks him in the face.
So they did invent bukkake there. I told you this was a
That's
bukkake
not the
origin
same as
story.
bukkake.
Pretty close.
Spitting on him?
Well, it's hop, skip, and a jump away from.
Yeah. But this is, I mean, this is like...
And he kicks him in the face.
Yeah, but even just...
Now, this samurai, he's a real samurai?
He's a real samurai.
Yeah.
And
Because it's in Kyoto. Or,
yeah, it's in Kyoto, but he's from the region that, Ishii's from.
Yeah.
And so he's just so disgusted. He sees it and he's like, all right, this is a fucking absolute disgrace. And he's just reviled by him, and he's spitting on him, just, hurling abuse at him, and kicks him in the face. Now, to even touch the face of a samurai, to touch the face with your foot is real bad.
Yeah, it's the worst part.
Yeah, I mean, I heard a story that, where, this is fucking crazy, but, there was a guy...
I hate feet, man.
A samurai had an arrow in his fucking eye.
Oh, no.
Gets an arrow in the eye. Guy's trying to pull it out. Puts his foot on his head. The guy picks his sword up and tries killing him. And he's like, all right, man, forget it.
I need the leverage, bro.
Yeah. So, that's the level of disrespect.
Well, you remember when, Saddam his statues fall, and people just take their shoes and they're hitting it hitting his face with their shoes?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a...
Stinky fucking feet.
I mean, I wouldn't want someone walking at my face.
Well, you're not Spitman.
That's true.
It's true, yeah. I've sucked on some toes, but I don't...
Hell yeah,
I
some
just...
That's disgusting, dude. You shouldn't do that. Isn't that weird about, listen, I'll put my tongue in a butthole all day, but I will not suck your feet. That's gross.
Right on.
Hey, man, you do you.
I back you up.
Thank you, Matt. Why don't you?
Because he's the most depraved of us all.
Yeah, you are the secret depraved one. That's
I don't need to talk about it.
Well,
Well, you do now. How many toes you suck?
see you in court, buddy.
So he's on the ground. This guy's going to town on him with his
He's
feet.
spitting on him, rubbing his
yeah.
feet in his face. He's not giving him fivers
No
at
fivers,
all. Not a fiver in
No, not
But
a
he's
fiver
a
inside.
Ronin.
not a fiver in the pagoda.
But he's a Ronin, so, the respect that you would give a samurai, you don't give a Ronin.
But he had been a samurai.
Well,
so,
but he is, so, I mean...
He's really rubbing it in his face.
but
Yeah,
even
he's literally-
then, you're supposed to still, it's not your fault your master fucked up, but you're supposed to still, conduct yourself by the code.
Well, yes, but the part of that whole class system is that it is your fault, even if it isn't. You're tied.
Guilty by association.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
I'm not saying he's right to do. I'm just saying it makes sense.
it's just, if he was just, my man crocheting over there, being a Ronin, that's still fine.
Candlemaker.
You didn't go to, start going to kabuki shows and horning around and getting sloppy drunk in the streets.
Right.
You know?
He's given a bad name to even a disbarred samurai.
Exactly. So
And there's all that residue.
now this is one of the things that the spies take back to Kira, and they're like, all right, they're fucking done.
So the spies, the fucking guy crocheting, making the candles,
Candlemaker,
sees a samurai spitmanning this Ronin, and he takes it back up the chain, and he goes, "You're never gonna believe what these fucking
Well,
idiots
plus
are
they've been watching, all the shit, and they're going like, all right, this guy just he became a ruined man, and he's done. Now, meanwhile, they're also they're also funneling weapons into Edo, and some of them are getting jobs in Edo.
The
And
spies?
no, the 47 Ronin.
They're sending him back to Edo.
Well,
Got it, right.
and they're getting, and that's mad illegal to be amassing weapons.
Yeah.
And they're like, they're hiding them like in dojos and places where they work and all this stuff. And fucking
Really tall candles.
they got to be pretty primitive too now because they don't have the status, right? So it's more like a lot of spears, like you think
Gardening tools, I hear, like spades and stuff like that.
But there was like some of these short swords, but it was a lot of spears and bows and arrows and stuff like that. And they also have to make their own armor. So they have all of this like DIY armor getting made, and they're getting jobs where they can gain entrance to his palace, to Kira's palace, so they can get the layout.
So because they don't know what they look like.
Yeah.
So they go under an assumed name.
Well, they get jobs, and then they're like, trying to get there. And then one guy even goes to the lengths of marrying a girl who built the place.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, to figure out the layout of the whole place.
And this is.
She talks in her sleep, man.
There's probably some mule.
Mule?
You should hear what she says when I suck her feet.
Yeah.
Oh.
She's like, East Wing. So many meters.
So anyway, your dad ever tell you about that one place he built? Idiot.
I just love a patient plan.
Oh, they're so crazy.
Yeah.
They're so
I got
insane.
I got time.
Plus, it's not a bad life,
Yeah, hey, I've always wanted to be a guy who married an architect.
And Oishi's like he divorces his wife of 20 years. He's got 3 kids with her. The oldest he says you can stay with me if you want. But then the 2 younger children go with her, and he does stay with his old man. And he's hip to what's going down. And he he basically wants to divorce his wife to get them away for, what's going to happen afterward. And he flees Kyoto in secret, goes to Edo, and he meets with the 47 Ronin, and they renew their vows to, basically kill Kira, take his head to their master's grave, and then surrender themselves to the authorities. And it's like this is like a fucking like a blizzard night too. Like the fucking snow is pouring down.
Wolverines on the rooftop chopping guys up. It's great.
Fucking crazy.
God is just shaking the
And so
fucking ball.
this is the plan. It's drum starts the attack. Whistle means we found Kira, or Kira's dead. And so they go to launch the attack, and we will take a break and be right back!
No! You bukaki'd me!
Again, it's not.
And we're back.
You're back.
Yeah, I'm back too. We is all of us, pal.
I'm not back yet, bro.
That's just pouring salt all over the place.
Yeah, I fucking, you know what? Life's short,
Dude, that's
bro.
a lot of fucking salt, homie.
I got a little lime, and I got a little salt on my Tecate, and it's foaming because this is the bukkake episode.
Oh, God.
Listen, man, sometimes you don't need to make an omelet.
True.
What, you just pour salt in the beer? I'm not sure the metaphor here. But...
This is so good.
It tastes so good, Aunt Diane.
So at this last dinner that these guys are having, where they meet up and renew their vows to go through on this plan, this is 2 years later.
Shit.
2 years later.
Man. Wow, what a build-up for them.
Yeah, it was March 1701.
They're all wearing their pizza box armor
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
made out of Bud Light. 18 packs.
We were here 2 years ago, this exact spot. A
Yeah.
little bit different now.
Some of us are
and-
showered.
And they have this last meal, and they're like, oh yeah, we're gonna do this, and it's I think 2 months shy of 2 years, and
They couldn't wait for the anniversary.
they have now these 47 Ronin too, like 10 of them are 50 to 70 years old.
Jesus.
So you think about all these young dudes, but like again, like it's a class,
Right.
So there's people performing all kinds of functions. So these are not also all warriors.
You have a kind heart, Khaleesi.
they have
Smiles on it, kilometers.
They'll all have some kind of training too. So they're not nothing, but they're not all badass fucking warriors, you know?
Yeah, most of them aren't jumping off a roof.
And Chikara is the son of Oishi, and he's 15.
Ooh.
And there's another guy that's 16. And so, you have, total, kind of like runs the gamut age-wise in these 47 Ronin.
They should make a movie out of this.
They've made at least 6 in Japan.
Yeah.
And what's crazy is there's one in
47 Ronin 2. 48 Ronin.
40, yeah, that's...
There's one in
47 Jump Street. What?
1941, which I'd be interested in, like just seeing like a wartime.
It's a Japanese.
It's a Japanese. Yeah, it's one of the most famous productions of it. Maybe the biggest one. There's also a 62 one.
I think that might be the famous one.
Yeah, well, I mean, depending on who you ask, you know what I mean.
Well, all the guys playing the 20-year-olds weren't available in the 40s.
That's right. They were getting shot up with meth and crashing Mitsubishi Zeros into our good boys in blue is what I'm saying.
Well, if you like sneak attacks, you'll love this.
I do.
Japanese, really? So, Oishi says, like, listen, we go in there, you kill who dissuades you, basically. Like, no women, children, like, we're not going in there committing massacres. Like, if somebody protects Kira and is in your way, kill him. And there will obviously be some of those, but let's be careful not to hurt any... just like elderly or whatever.
Yeah.
Some of them are elderly, basically. One guy is straight up 70 in the 47.
So he's untouchable. He's bulletproof. We're sending him in first. None of these samurai, self-respecting samurai would kill this old piece of shit. Your tip of the spear, Jimbo.
It's like a sneak attack because it takes him so long to get in that they're like...
They can't even hear him.
So they split up into 2 groups. And they sneak like a bunch of archers on the roof of this mansion, and their job is to kill anybody that's going to leave, to warn others that the place is being attacked.
Jesus Christ!
Put some thought into it.
And then they go over to like the neighbors, and they're like, "Hey, this is an act of revenge against this Kira motherfucker. We're not robbers. We're not thieves." And basically chill out. And some of the neighbors are like, "Oh man, I hate Kira." And they're super down with it.
He blows his leaf blower at like 7:01 in the morning, man.
So they're like,
fucking asshole. His dog doesn't shut up.
They're like, "Oh, what's going on?" They're like, "Oh yeah, fuck him. Oh yeah, cool.
Do
No
you guys
doubt.
need some weapons?
Yeah.
I got these pizza boxes.
I got some flaming arrows. What do you need, man?
So Chikara, Oishi's son, is going to lead an attack from the back gate.
The 15-year-old.
The 15-year-old. And his father's going to lead the one from the front. And, they get the archers on the roof. So they get, if any strays happen, they can kill them with the bows and arrows. And then they hit the drum. Then the attack commences. And so, they start overtaking these guards out front and the ones out back. And then they work their way into the house, and his retainers, his guards, his samurai on his staff, Kira's, they're outnumbered. They have maybe 40, and one of them is Kira's grandson. And so they are just, they have the element of surprise, and they have the numbers, and they just come in real hard, and then they kind of like meet in the house, the back and front, Oishi and his son, and they've cut through everybody standing in their way, and then it's just like, kill whoever's stopping us from getting to Kira, and they're going from room to room, and I think the inside guards then are like, all right, we're fucked here. Somebody go get help. And they send somebody out. Archers, spam, dead. And then they fucking, they get basically to like the last guy in their way. And they stop him. And then they're like, there's just every room they go to, they're just like women and children crying and like
Boobs around.
Total downer. Yeah.
And it's like, why? And these guys are coming over the walls being like, you thought it wasn't fuck you, but it was always fuck you, dude. We were acting.
Your neighbors hate you.
Your neighbors hate you. I wasn't drunk. I mean, I was, but
Hey, nice candles.
Wow.
And so they can't find Kira, and they're kind of like, what the fuck? And then so they go to his bedroom, and Oishi is like, bed's still warm, right?
It does.
So they know
I
he's.
smell his pillow, man.
So they know he's not far.
Piss himself.
Hey, pissed a little.
And they see, like, they're just looking, and then they see like this big scroll, and they just like pop it up, and they see this little secret.
Oh, so he just pulled out a map.
He's hiding behind a curtain. Basically.
He's hiding behind a pulled-down picture of himself.
Well, the scroll hides an entire entrance. It's a secret passage.
I see.
And that just
Shawshank Redemption.
and it goes out. Yeah.
So it was a picture of Raquel Welch.
Yeah, Dufresne. And
What about you, fuzzy britches?
how can you be so obtuse?
He ran away through a pile of shit.
Andy Dufresne.
110 yards. Repugnant.
He fucked his way through 30 brothels.
Oh, he was here. The woman's still warm.
Yeah, crying, but annoying, but.
You can kill her. It's empty.
Look at this mess. This is salt over.
Listen, man, it's a long day.
He's
bro.
getting turned up in the
He
story.
really is.
I'm hard as a rock, man.
Dude.
I'm harder than Chinese algebra. You like that?
So they find this fucking a lot.
It's pretty hard.
What about the Japanese?
No.
So they go through this passage and they find this it's like a little passageway to a courtyard where they keep like charcoal and firewood and stuff. And there's two of his last guards out there. And so they get cut through really quickly.
Sliced them, diced them, chopped them up.
Yeah, it got all chopped up. And then one of the guys looking for him in there, like,
Are you Tom Dong? My name is Steve Driver. Prepare to die.
Yeah, you drove me to this.
You didn't do anything with my father.
You are the one who is the most.
So he comes out, fucking all 60 years.
I'll show you a comfort tsunami, you son of a bitch.
Yeah. Well, it's snowing. It's like same thing.
It's basically a comfort tsunami.
Yeah, blizzard, comfort tsunami. Who's to say?
Best time.
And so he comes out at one of these guys looking for him. They're like, "You fucking old man, idiot! Shut up and sit down." And they're like, "You're Kira, right?" And he's like not saying anything. And they're like, "We're pretty fucking sure this is the guy."
You're Dirk Jiggler.
What do you have he just drew a mustache on himself, and they're like, "Well, it can't be Akira."
Well, they don't know him.
How do you know? There's no fucking.
And so he just won't say anything. And so they blow the whistle anyway. And then all of them, converge in this little courtyard. And Oishi comes out with the fucking lantern, and he puts it up to his face, and he sees the cut where Asano
That's
cut
how
him.
you know.
Uh-huh.
Perfect.
And so then he immediately addresses him. He addresses Kira very respectfully, and he's like, "Are you Kira?" Whatever.
Kira-san.
And he goes, he still won't say anything. And he's like, "Listen, we are the 47 Ronin, loyal to Asano, and we are here to avenge him. And here's Asano's short sword, and you can
commit seppuku if you'd like.
You can commit seppuku, and we'll give you a second to cut off your head. A second man, not 1 second.
Right.
And so he still won't say anything, and after a while, he's just trembling and not saying anything. So then he just has some of the Ronin hold him down, and then...
And they turn on Stuck in the Middle with You.
Well...
And they cut off his ear.
They cut off his head. So they basically...
Held him down.
They held him down, and then Oishi cuts off his head. And so then...
I guess that's probably, honestly, it's not as manly, but...
You're acting like a bunch of peasants.
at this point, Japan has had like 100 years of peace.
Mm-hmm.
This
is the
Edo
most struggle
period
they've had in those years.
The Edo period, So the Edo period has, I guess you could say, by some people's estimation, softened
them because of the lack of interaction.
No, it was because the younger generation was getting all these trophies for being good at stuff.
Well, crocheting or whatever, and spelling bee.
Making,
No, that makes sense, right? Like, anytime you have, extended periods of isolation, that lack of conflict.
Yeah, and what do you do with a warrior class
when there's no war?
Without any war.
Right.
So I think
they can become 70-year-old men.
I think that's what plays a lot into
kind of dicks too.
The thing that happens here, because these guys now have this guy's head, and they have a march in the snow of 10 kilometers home, right?
With his head, so they can take it to the
grave,
right?
Outside the temple of Asano, and
now are they Taoists? What are they here?
The big Confucianism would be
they
big.
Are Confucian?
Yeah. Okay. And Asano was very into that, and it was very big in especially that region at the time. Mm. And so, as they're doing this march, like, news spreads fast. And because of, the stories getting out, but like, yo, these guys waited 2 years and they could fucking killed their fucking master's enemy after he was killed. And people are like, coming out to like bring them refreshments and like stuff like all along the way.
Boba tea.
Some people are going like, hey, you got to go around our town, man, because we don't want any of that trouble.
Right.
But there's a lot of people that are like just on the march getting wind of it, and they're just like really fucking psyched about it.
Yeah.
Because, the inner bro and everybody is pretty psyched about it. You know what I mean? It's a cool story.
And especially if you are those who are ruled over.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You're not having a good time.
Right.
Was there no game of telephone where
telegraph?
Someone they got like half of the ideas right?
Well,
they're like, you can't come through here because we heard you sucked them off before you did it.
That's also a big part of the thing where people talk about.
You gave him the opportunity to bukkake himself, and that's honestly, we're not for that around here, buddy.
Walk around.
Yeah, they
5 bukkake references.
The crazy thing is
that
that
bukkake.
The things that survive, the documents that survive from this, that give it the historical accuracy, is every one of the 47 Ronin had a document on them saying this is what we're doing and why.
So if they were killed,
if they were killed, it was like
that's very interesting. And every soldier should have that.
And I carry one around every day.
And then there was a document to be left with the head at the grave, which they did, and they gave with Asano's blade too. So they took his head, Asano's blade, and they went to like the abbot of the temple, and they were like, please say prayers for us, and we're leaving this head here, and this is what we did and why. And they then just let themselves, get snatched up by authorities. They had sent one young guy that was 16, and it's like maybe debated whether he was, running, or they were like, listen, if any of us can get out of this, it's probably going to be you. So go to the original palace where this happened and tell them that this happened. And to the shogun's palace.
But the son was part of the group that got arrested.
The son is another young one. He stayed, and so he was. So they gathered them all up, and the shogun's people were put in a really tough position because the populace was so into this act of warrior behavior in a time absent from war.
Right.
But also the entire system that was ensuring peace was based on these very strict rules.
Right.
So
it's an indictment of the system as well.
Right, but also the minute you can't let him go, because then it's a fucking free for all again, right? From the shogun's perspective,
you got to respect the laws. But...
you can understand. I mean, you something like that is not. You could see that happening here now.
Yeah,
because you want to respect your warrior class, especially when they fight against an injustice inherent in the system.
Right. The laws are unjust, but you still broke the law.
Right.
So what do you...
Exactly. Right. But it's not... really that unjust also. Like, also, Asano was probably an idiot and reckless with all of these people's lives. But, they were like, this is basically the only way to restore our honor, really. And we know that we will die for it. We will be dealt with in an extremely harsh fashion.
Ferocious fashion.
Well, yeah, I don't, but like people like historians, like, later on, like, they'll doubt, like, well, maybe they thought they'd get, I'm like, no, they didn't.
It seems like the perfect out for all parties, which is like, you can kill us because that's we all expect it.
Well, the compromise that the shoguns came up with was letting them all commit seppuku.
Oh, okay. That seems
because
pretty
that was the thing. It was like
letting them.
Well, but other than being beheaded as a criminal, it was saying you are a warrior. You
got a warrior's death.
You got a warrior's death, and you will
only die by your own blade.
And they were all buried with their master,
right,
at that temple. And the youngest one, that was or not the youngest one, but the second youngest one that was let to go, he lived to be like 87 in 1747, and then he was buried with them.
Wow.
And
no shit.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so they also gave all of their money to the abbot when they went there. So like, here's all of our remaining money. Basically we're going to be killed, and please just pray for us.
Build a badass statue, like fountains and shit.
They had a very singular goal, and they only harmed people that were in the way of it, seemingly.
Yeah.
It's almost like a test case of like a psychological.
Yeah, how loyal,
And that youngest one was pardoned by the shogun, by the way.
That's why he lived.
And I think that's almost the idea that the remaining 46 Ronin had was like, maybe this fucking kid will make it.
Yeah.
It's a. And then there's some people who think like maybe he ran away. I don't know, but like he definitely lived an honorable, life afterward, or an honored life afterward.
Yeah, no foot ever touched his face.
Not
one fucking pinky toe.
Maybe his mouth.
So that temple to this day has the receipt for Kira's head that his son.
They got a receipt?
They got a receipt. Well, you don't want to.
One head.
You don't want to say, I gave it back to him.
Yeah, what if you have
I don't know where it is. Do you know where it is?
I gave it. Well, you got to get him to sign it. I gave you your dad's head back.
Yeah, you need to.
So his son comes and collects it, and then they have the documents, and they have all the homemade armor at the temple.
Oh, the pizza boxes?
To this day. They have all the homemade,
all the turtle shells.
Yeah, all the Domino's boxes. Yeah. All the turtle shells. Yep.
It makes me think of Turtles in Time.
Yeah,
because they went back to the Edo period.
Yeah,
did they really?
Listen, man, I don't know, but it sounds right.
Yes, for some reason Casey Jones was there, doesn't it?
So they
a couple hockey sticks.
It becomes like this huge pilgrimage. People are like, going to visit the 47 Ronin or the 46 Ronin and their master, basically. And to this day, it's still a huge draw, and all that shit is there. Asano's fucking short sword that killed him and his enemy.
Where's the head?
Well, the head went back
because of the receipt.
Because of the receipt, right? And again, Kira was somebody that was favored by the shogun, and he was high class.
Kind of sounds maybe kind of a dick.
Came from a good pedigree, but also like there's probably like a whole thing on his side where there was probably a reason he wasn't punished also. And I think he was like kind of like his son was married into other kind of like noble families of the time and stuff. And like it's one of those things too where like, if you're getting taught shit by an old man and, he abuses you, expect it and shut up. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sorry, but like that's how I feel.
This is how these things work, man.
That's one of those things where people just say, well, that's how things are.
Yeah,
and then you kind of move on.
Be lucky you don't have to suck his dick.
You hope
because
the next
if you're
generation
in like Papua New Guinea, you gotta.
But
Yoda beat the shit out of Luke, and that's just how it works.
They always, it's the younger generation. They don't get it. They don't have respect. But really, a lot of that is a comment on its relativity and personal perspective. Because the way things are often means that you get shit on just because you're younger.
Mm-hmm.
And for younger
Because
people,
I went through it, you have to go through it.
Yeah,
Right.
and they're old.
Yeah.
And they're mad
And they're
because
not-
you're young.
Yeah.
And they're pissed about
What
it.
they want to do.
And they can't really hurt you anyways
don't-
because they're old.
Yeah, I don't really hate them for it. I'm just kind of like,
No, but
there's a
it's-
great thing. There's a great thing in The Sopranos, where there's an old guy that gets out of prison and he's being a huge pain in the ass, and they're like, man, that guy's being such a motherfucker. And Tony just goes, he's old.
Yeah.
How do you think that feels?
Yeah.
Not good.
You know?
But also, it doesn't hurt to fucking realize. I mean, a lot of why is an old person being an asshole is because it's what they learned. It's also what happened to them. But maybe you just don't need to do that.
And also, well, yeah, you're right. Of course, I wouldn't want to be the mean old man. Nobody
will be.
does.
You will be.
I don't think so.
You're
You will
you're
be for
halfway
sure.
there, yeah.
I don't know.
I'm a sweet angel.
No. You'll be a real
I
dick.
love children.
Let's make it better.
I love the disabled.
Love the disabled. Oh my God.
What?
I matched with a girl in a wheelchair on Hinge.
Yeah,
She's really cute.
Great. That's nice. Congratulations.
She's really cute.
that's
Cool.
great.
I think when this whole disease thing goes by,
But she'll walk.
wheel her around town.
So that's great, man. That was real cool.
Good luck.
Yeah, man, it is cool. What are you laughing
I'm
about?
not laughing about anything. I'm laughing about you telling me that weird shit.
I don't think it's weird. I think it's totally normal, Matt. Normal.
Yeah, I mean,
Why is John laughing?
Because you're being a psycho.
What's so funny about it, John?
Nothing.
This could be the
no, it's nice. It's
father,
rare.
she could be the mother of my children. And you're
very nice.
That's dope. I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
you throw a wheelchair in that big fucking trunk you got in that stupid car. It's a lovely car, and I like it a lot.
It's a pretty great ride.
Malibu,
you gotta-
Malibu, folks.
You got a great trunk, kid.
it's no wheelchair.
Also, this is. I think this is pretty cute too. In the display with the armor, etc.
Turtle shells,
Yeah,
pizza
boxes,
boxes.
yeah.
They have the drum and whistle from the attack too.
Oh,
Now,
Used once.
can you blow it?
Now, in a display of further sanity,
Further sanity.
the
Got it.
samurai who spit and kicked at him comes to his grave and commits seppuku
What?
on the grave of Uishi and is buried next to him.
Oh my god. So he goes, I never should have done that.
He's like, I was wrong. I had no idea.
I apologize. Ah.
Yes. Seriously.
Dude, that is some.
I mean, did he do it after he lost a bunch of money at the?
yeah, he had some people after him.
Yeah.
Listen, I stepped on a few other faces after that night. And I'll tell you, this is the
I mean,
best of all possible scenarios.
I think word probably spread pretty fast, and they're like, "Did you hear? He said like the guy."
You're the guy that spit and stepped on our hero.
Hey man, didn't you spit on his face and kick him?
That's nuts.
Yeah.
It's so
Wow.
any sort of rigid system, or even I guess you could say ideology like that. Maybe that's not the right word, but it'll do for now.
Yeah.
It's totally insane. But there's something beautiful and admirable about that, right? Like
The respect.
because it's not supernatural, right? Because you could find examples of that in modern day religion, right? But there's something about the secularness of it, and I don't know. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's not. But there is something really beautiful about it. I would never do it.
Well, I think it's good, but I mean, I
think it comes down to there's nobody else holding you accountable. There's no man in the sky. There's no fire and brimstone beneath you as a threat. It's just that you have to hold yourself accountable to this code.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now,
And
also,
they
I just
did.
real quick. I just want to because I want to get into a lot of this discussion.
Sure.
And now in the attack, now this is amazing too. If you think about again, 10 men, 50 plus, some of them kids, and again, sure they had the numbers.
And kids.
Not one killed.
Oh wow.
At the estate, 16 killed, 22 wounded. So nobody is murdered of the 47 Ronin during the attack, which is pretty fucking crazy. I mean,
Yeah, the element of surprise and so
Yeah,
on and so
I
forth.
mean,
Sure, but
they're not men at the top of their game.
and to not get one?
Well, some of them are probably pretty good. The 70-year-old probably didn't make it to every room, He didn't get to the brothels.
Maybe he stayed. That's where he went and
Yeah.
stayed.
The cum storm.
Come still warm.
That's the joke I
It's
should have
got the
made half an hour
umami
ago.
taste.
It's got the umami taste?
Umami.
I know.
It's got the umami taste. That's what
And
Matt's sick.
so yeah, this fucking guy that kicked him, he's buried there too in the same plot, which is just daffy.
Well, I mean, I think that's also probably part of his end game, right? Is well, at least I'll have the honor of being buried next to this man I dishonored.
Yeah. Now here's some of the irony of their sacrifice too is they, get the Asano family reinstated as a noble family.
It's a pretty noble thing.
The younger brother,
So his
heir,
family is no longer ruined.
his family's no longer ruined.
Unruined.
Unroned.
Unruined. And unroned.
Well, the samurais can go back and now work for the younger brother, even though his basically like his kind of fiefdom or whatever was like a tenth of the size of what it was.
Sure.
But still, some of these other 250 Ronin that didn't want to fight
They benefited.
They got back.
They should have committed seppuku.
And even if they didn't get back to that, they still were now part of an honored master's family. So everybody that doesn't fight gets to benefit from these other 47 that like are just fucking being maniacs. And it's it just there was kabuki like immediately afterward. I'm talking like 2 weeks afterward. There was kabuki because this fucking story spread through Japan. And again, you haven't had war in 100 years, and you see like this real factual act of these guys doing this thing like you're talking about, like this honor-based thing. But they're like they shut it down. They don't want anything based on like.
They shut down the theater.
They shut down the production. In later years,
meaning, and for the listeners, meaning the kabuki was the form that the news would travel. Mm-hmm. And they shut that down.
Well, they shut that down, but the word of mouth, it was still getting around.
But they shut down the production.
And there was I believe basically an entire genre of literature about samurai honor came up in its wake was the Chushingura.
Huh.
And that's specifically the first tale of this was called Chushingura.
Is from the 47.
And so everything that followed in it is, and there was an opera. There was the puppet theater.
Yeah.
6 films, like I said, in Japan. The one with Keanu Reeves, which was a spectacular box office bomb, lost $20 million. 47 Ronin.
Yeah, I remember
Keanu
that.
was it? Oh, that's right.
I remember that.
That
title.
was.
And then Last Nights later,
Last Nights.
Yeah,
I like Black Knight with Martin Lawrence.
Of course, your daughter's a freak.
Of course you can quote it. You sicko.
Oh, that's from the commercial. I never even saw it.
Yeah, that's right.
I just remember the commercial. It's so stupid. Then the manga and the TV serials, on and on and on. Like it's just books, after, one after another. But it was a story that I think came, to the West maybe like 150 years after it happened. But in its time, it spread as far as the Philippines. Like it just, it took on a life of its own.
Yeah.
Pretty amazing.
It is. And so, I wanted to get into what you guys were just talking about here with this thing about like, because to me, some of this stuff just kind of, it reeks a little bit too much of just kind of, like I said, the inner bro in me is going like, oh, that's super badass and that's super dope. But then like, the smoking a pipe side of me goes like, oh, this is fucking like very unnecessary.
Yeah, well,
and like ruining all these things and
I vibe with that too, but the whole the perpetuation of that system and the well-being of everybody underneath it depends on them doing that. Right? So that family, everybody in that fiefdom, their lives are better because of it. Their lives are reinstated into like
the 250, especially that didn't. Take part in it,
if they didn't do that, what sort of misery would all these people be living in?
Yes.
So it is kind of this kind of check on itself.
Well, I earlier I said that's good. What I meant is I admire the honor of them doing it, but it's total bullshit that they feel like this is the only way. And it probably was. But that is, that's not a good system. Just because they were able to make it work.
It was the best decision in a flawed system, right?
Yeah.
Right. So, of all their choices to be made, it was the best one.
Yeah.
Granted, all they had was shitty choices because the system is inherently flawed.
Right. It was do nothing and have no class, and my family has no class.
Make candles.
But without this idea of honor, which is not, it's not a fucking, it's not a dinner. It's not a plate of vegetables. Like, it's an intangible, kind of thing.
Yeah, it's a construct.
When you're talking about the bro-y thing, the bro idea of honor is fight a guy at a bar. What they did not do was hurt people that were tangentially involved. Mm-hmm. Even though, they still killed the guards. It's not like the guards had really anything to...
Right. It's just, there's a part of you that just always goes like, this is still essentially just a gang war.
Yeah.
So is every war.
Right. But that's the thing is that, like,
where do you draw the line?
Right. Well, but that is, pretty much, I think...
The uniforms?
Not that I'm like, subscribing to the military, totalitarianism.
No, you are. You I've heard you sing the praises of the military-industrial complex daily.
Yeah.
You see, stars and bars.
Anyway, so...
John Fascist Fahey.
I'm just saying, it was a thing. It was a time of peace. And...
peace in our time.
It lasted a very long time, and of course, it was still based on a class-based But
it's an unfair system, of course.
But there was at least no go fight for this asshole, and now you all fucking die. And you're like, I'm a stable boy. I don't then what do I do? What?
They did at the very least they made their choice. But also I think it's very very illustrative of you want your leaders to have a level of maturity. Mm-hmm. And
Asano didn't.
I'm not saying he should have.
He did not. They did.
Then did you reward
that behavior?
A shitty lord?
Yeah.
No.
Did you let other people get away with it?
What you did was, despite your lord's failings, you still validated the system. And there's negatives and positives.
Did they act? I mean, were they more honourable than their lord? I guess.
Of course.
Yeah. So that's the tough part.
We know
is that
he
they
fucked
were better
up,
than
but
he
that's
was.
not the point.
Mm-hmm.
Because the Lord is not the system. The system is what's worth fighting for. The Lord is not.
Did the system change at all, I guess? Because was it...
No.
Other than putting their families getting their...
that mattered, and that helped.
But part still, of that is the system.
Don't forget, they still took like 9/10 of that little empire he had is gone. And the honors restored to those people that lost it.
But did the shoguns, did all of these higher ups change, rethink their policies?
They didn't really do anything wrong.
Not the shogun, but the man, the
daimos. No, they didn't.
The daimos.
They did not change their policy, but they didn't have to because it was working. What didn't work was that Asano was a piece of shit. Hot fuse or short fuse.
Yeah. And he probably was a country bumpkin with no manners.
Yeah, he probably was exactly what he was accused of.
Or the guy that would stab you after you said that.
And not even succeed?
Yeah, all he did was give you a scar that you would be murdered for later.
Yeah. If he was any good, he probably wouldn't have said that to him. Because at the very least, he would have said, well, you don't have any manners, but at least you got some fucking skill.
Yeah, it's just like...
Maybe this is not...
And Asano's like 34, and this is a 60-year-old man.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's not a good look.
And then he hits a pillar the next time he goes, and it's like, bro, you can't even kill an old man. And
but that's not. It doesn't matter. It's kind of the chain of command thing that we have in the West now. It's like it doesn't matter what the order is.
It's a very tough spot for everybody.
What do you mean? No, I'm sorry. What doesn't matter?
What of a piece of shit Asano was, and the fact that he broke the rules. It doesn't matter. What he did. What matters is that you have to follow your rules, and your rules are avenge your master and fight for honor.
Yeah. Well, then some people. So then some people were like, well, to wait until it was safe wasn't honorable.
Oh, boy.
And that's another thing too. But
you pussy, you cut, you wait.
But also it's like it doesn't matter because like if you went when the palace was fortified and they expected a reprisal attack, that would be still honorable. And you guys waited until
Honorable but unsuccessful.
you guys waited until it would work.
Yeah.
And that is the part that, of course, I think makes it eccentric, is that they went to these elaborate, ruse types things to do it. And some people were like, well, maybe Oishi did just go into ruin. And then suddenly one day it was like, we should do a revenge. And I'm like, I don't buy that at all.
No, it's very like old boy style. Like, you know what? I'm going to wait. I'll wait. And I'm going to build this room and I'm going to put you in it. And then I'm going to make you spoiler alert, I'm going to make you fall in love with your daughter. And you're going to fuck her. And then you're going to go on this escape journey. And then you're going to track it all the way down to me. And then I'm going to tell you my evil plan. And you're going to freak out. Like, that is super awesome.
Yeah.
I love that.
It's pretty cool.
I love that type of shit.
I do. I love a good revenge story.
Any sort of like deep commitment to the plan.
Yeah. It was always fuck you. It was always you thought it wasn't fuck you.
The prestige.
Yeah.
I love that. The deepest commitment to the plan.
The destructive commitment.
Even at the expense of your sanity in life. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. More stories like this.
Well, I think what that is, it's an active honor. Because what you're saying about those guys, it reminded me of the John Kerry in front of after he comes back from Vietnam, and he says, "How do you tell 30,000 people to die for someone's mistake? Another 30,000. After 30,000 men had already died, he goes in front of Congress. He says, How do you tell the next 30,000 that they should also die?" And what the sell was, well, this is what happens. This is what you do. This is the honor of dying for the U.S. in Vietnam. And what at least this is, it's an active. These are men choosing and being
They're
a
not
part
drafted.
of. They're not just pulled into it and told how lucky they are that they have to die somewhere else. They're actually taking part in all of it. They're getting these other jobs. They're doing these other things.
Yeah, it's just, I think the whole thing is born of ego to start with.
Absolutely.
And that's never...
No, I think it's Ito.
Right. I'm talking about ego, the living planet.
I love his pizza.
But yeah, it's, that was the whole thing I got into my head. It was like, at first I'm just like, oh my God, this story's so fucking cool. And then I was just like, a bunch of unnecessary fucking chest beating, And like, all these guys, like, they don't have to die, but also I guess like to them they were like, well, this is better than dying. Like now we're fucking like national celebrities.
It's the shades of honor, and the eccentricity of that is fascinating.
Yeah.
There's not a good answer necessarily.
I mean, we're just dealing with such to us and to most people, an alien code.
Yeah.
Sure, yes.
Where to, hey, we're going to let, we fucked up. You did a really amazing thing, so you're going to get the honor to kill yourself now. Given that choice, you can chop my head off.
Yeah.
I don't want to stab myself in the stomach and disembowel myself over some nebulous idea of honor to a system that's bullshit anyways.
Yeah.
Cut my head off. It's over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The system that made them do that is a system that
it's inherently flawed.
Yeah.
As are most systems.
And
but
also like a tunnel that is covered up with a poster is really not a great idea.
That's so cool. I love that guy
especially
being hidden out there. And he still will never just say like who he is or commits, seppuku or anything. He's just like,
I'm not
the
committing
scar.
seppuku.
he's just so
no,
Give me
afraid.
the gift of killing me painlessly, quickly.
Seppuku, it sounds honorable until you actually have to fucking do
and
it.
especially your guts are full of shit.
Yeah.
So not only are you cutting yourself open in the most painful manner, in the most ferocious fashion possible.
It's not even hygienic.
It smells like shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't believe I ate that.
Oh my God. And that's what it looks
What was
like.
I thinking?
Did I not chew that apple?
Jesus Christ.
Umami taste.
Yeah, I was, I don't know. I found out about the story and I
It's a good one, John.
went really deep on it.
I
didn't
think
expect that at
the
all. That's
listeners
great.
are going to be very pleased with what we have coming up here in the near future.
Yeah.
We're going to be doing some of the heavy hitters, the stuff that we have put off.
Yeah. High profilers.
High profile profiles. Mm-hmm. Some of the stuff where you're like, wow, they haven't done this person yet. Mm-hmm. We're getting to them, and I think you're going to like them a lot, and hopefully it gets you through this Edo period
Yeah, the second
of isolation.
Right.
Wink.
Yeah. ISO period.
ISO period? Mm-hmm. ISO horny.
Whoa. Nice, dude.
The big side effect of the ISO period is the miso horny thing. I think that's it, boys.
That was great, John.
Fantastic.
I really like that. I really love Japanese culture, unlike you, so I can really appreciate this story.
I obviously went so deep into Japanese culture and really enjoyed it.
He wrote his notes on in Japanese calligraphy.
Yeah, you
on
can
those
tell,
note cards, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's really good handwriting.
I think the Keanu Reeves movie takes in some more like
Some bullet time.
it takes in some more like mystical, magical type shit or something.
He's dodging arrows like this.
And it was a massive bomb.
I remember when he did that, but I thought it was called something else, like The Man from Shaolin or something. Is that another movie?
It's probably like Ronin something.
That was another bomb that he did. It was The Man from Shaolin.
170 million budget. Took in 150.
Damn, what was this the night? Like,
And I think he's the only white person in it.
What'd they spend 170 million on in the 90s?
He's Keanu.
He's
This was not the 90s. This was recent.
This is like
Just pre-John Wick.
2013.
Oh shit! Really?
It's like right before
okay.
John Wick,
Yeah, and he hadn't.
which is a revenge story to end all revenge stories.
It's really crazy,
killed
man,
his dog.
because like if you think about it,
Turns out you only need one Ronin.
but if you did this movie and that much money was spent on it, and you're Keanu, and this is 10 years after I think the last Matrix, and you go like, oh, we lost 20 million on this, you'd be like, I'm a little bit worried about my fucking career here, folks.
Is that when the sad Keanu picture
And-
was taken?
Right around that time.
And then John Wick comes along.
John Wick was such an aberration, and it was kind of. We could talk about this later. But,
It's his love letter to stunts, basically.
yeah, because it was a stunt coordinator from The Matrix who'd made it.
Yeah.
And it was a proof of concept movie.
Yeah.
It was like, check out what you can do with planning, and it took on a life of its own.
And 47 Ronin came out like at Christmas, and it was competing with all kinds of it was just not really rolled out too
probably
well.
gotta compete against like Iron Man 3 or some bullshit.
Yeah.
But
Good movie.
But yeah, then there's another called Last Nights, which I think is another Western movie. But
Yeah, that's I like that story a lot, John.
it's really cool.
Yeah,
it's really cool.
I love when people are patient
and
do
just
things like-
crazy.
Yes.
Well, of course.
I mean, there's so much craziness in there. I was just like, oh my fucking god, dude.
I don't like the movie Ronin.
Oh my fucking god!
Do you remember the movie Ronin with Robert De Niro?
Yeah, I mean that's the first thought I had. I was like,
That's the first time I ever heard Ronin.
yeah,
Me too.
I think all of us did.
yeah, I think, yeah. Very white of us.
Well, John,
Fine
very,
time.
very fine time.
Very nice, John.
All right, boys. We'll see you next time. Guys, listen to the get involved with the Patreon. We just had a very nice time with.
That was a very fun episode. That was a very good time.
we did the Gustav Flaubert, his Mediterranean sex trip.
Yeah, that's a primo. That's a primo.
God.
And then we have more presidential
dog
pets.
fucking,
If you love
pets
STDs
and
and Europe, if you like the Aleister Crowley episode, you're gonna love the Flaubert episode. I Aaron P. it.
Yeah,
And,
you brought in your coincidental deaths.
Yes, that was. Oh,
Yeah.
that
That was
dog.
really fun.
Oh man, that was a
That
good
dog
one.
really caused a ruckus.
Oh boy.
Oh god.
Can't even drive a bus around this town.
Rest in peace, Richard Bain.
Rest in
Yes.
peace, Richard Bain, and we love you, folks. I'm going to say goodnight. My name's John Fahey.
I'm Aaron Pita.
Mepper so.
Good night, everybody. We love you.
Scarpins Avenue.